So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Nesat Sangi, and I'm working as a senior analyst in Finovista and working with MECS since 2020. And it is my great pleasure to welcome you all to this talk series entitled Women in Modern Energy Cooking. And today we came together to explore how clean cooking energy solutions are transforming lives, particularly for women who stand at the heart of household energy systems and community well-being. In India, MECS program is working to accelerate the transformation from traditional biomass cooking to clean electricity and renewable-based cooking solutions. MECS in India supports innovation, evidence building, and market development to make modern energy cooking affordable, reliable, and scalable across diverse communities and stakeholders. Under MECS umbrella, Finovista has also launched an initiative named Women in Modern Energy Cooking, which focuses on empowering women not just as an end user, but also as entrepreneurs, leaders, and change makers across the clean cooking value chain, from product distribution and financing to after sales service and advocacy. We are also aligned with the Energy Dozen, which is an initiative in which Finovista and MECS jointly collaborated with FSR Global, the delegation of the European Union to India, and UN Women India. The Energy Dozen is a flagship initiated by FSR Global that celebrates and elevates women professionals, shaping and aims to spotlight inspiring women leaders working across the energy ecosystem, highlighting their achievement, leadership journey, and contribution to India's transition towards cleaner and more sustainable energy systems. Now, as we begin this series, let us reflect on powerful truth that modern energy cooking is not just about technology, but also about climate resilience, health, and above all, women empowerment. I would like to welcome you all, and I would also like to begin the session by introducing Ms. Sylvia Satori. So, giving a little bit introduction about her, Sylvia works as a nexus of gender and sustainability in the scope of several donor-funded technical assistance and cooperation projects, with a strong focus on Asia. For the past 10 years, she has been specializing in the intersection of gender with energy, environment, and climate, supporting gender mainstreaming in initiatives related to energy access, energy, clean energy, and women empowerment and entrepreneurship. Prior to working as an independent consultant, Sylvia has several positions with think tanks and NGOs in Asia and Europe. Sylvia has an academic background in international relations and Asian studies. Hi, Sylvia. Welcome to the session.
Thank you very much, Nev, and a very warm good afternoon and welcome also from my side. Thank you very much also for the invitation and the opportunity to share some thoughts and experiences with you and your audiences today. I will share the few slides I prepared. I hope you can. Okay. Can you see them all right?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear? Okay,
yes,
good.
Yes.
Thank you. Then let me introduce you first a few key points that I would like to share with you here today, and then I'll remain available to take any questions or comments, of course, that this might trigger. I would first of all like to introduce you all to the concept of gender mainstreaming, and then understand why and how this is relevant for the topic of modern energy cooking and access to modern energy. And then I would like to move on to specific examples of practices and strategies that can be adopted to ensure that legislation, policies, programs, and projects that promote modern energy cooking are strongly integrating and embedding gender considerations within their design, implementation, and also evaluation. And I will do so by making also reference to some existing best practices from Asia. So for a start, what do we mean with gender mainstreaming? I will refer here to the probably most relevant definition, which is the one provided by the United Nations Economic and Social Committee, which explains how basically gender mainstreaming is a strategy to make sure that all legislation, policies, projects, and programs are designed by taking into account from the very beginning the different implications for men and women of any specific intervention at all levels, in all fields and topics. And this is to make sure that existing inequalities are not unintentionally perpetuated through the implementation of a new initiative, and also that no new forms of inequalities are generated through the adoption and implementation of new projects, strategies, or policies. This is also an opportunity, of course, not only to minimize unintended negative effects on any gender, but also to make sure that all the different members of societies are given the opportunity through the design, implementation, and evaluation of a strategy to voice their talents, their views, and their potential. So ultimately, the goal is really to ensure that the potential for gender equality is optimized and maximized through every initiative. Why does this matter at all when we're talking about modern energy cooking? You probably know the answer way even more in detail than what I would discuss here today, but just to make sure that we're all on the same page. Access to energy and the use of energy is something that is by nature intrinsically very gendered. And this is because social cultural norms and beliefs have historically attributed specific roles, responsibilities, and tasks to different members of societies. This is the case everywhere in the world. And we know that typically girls and women are allocated all the responsibilities related to domestic activities, including cooking, washing, and very often also the collection of firewood and other energy resources. At the same time, coupled with this, existing power relations within societies are still limiting significantly the quantity and also the quality of participation of women to decision-making processes. The combined results of these two elements means that in practice, when we are looking at energy, the use of energy and the impacts of energy, girls and women are the ones that are most involved with all activities that relate first and foremost with cooking, washing, taking care of household facilities, which makes them the most exposed to the type of energy sources that are being used in the household, but not also in the household. As we will see later, this applies also to entrepreneurial ecosystems. So when women are using traditional sources of energy, they are the most exposed also to the hazardous domestic air pollution that this generates, and also are the most exposed to the safety dangers that are associated with the procurement, the collection, and the transportation of energy resources. The World Health Organization estimates that every year thousands of premature deaths occur as a result of the use of inefficient and traditional sources of energy. And since women, girls and women, constitute the majority of the people in the household who manage these resources, you can very well understand that the majority of the premature deaths, but also a number of health conditions, including skin and eye irritations or pregnancy problems, heart conditions, are very much borne by women. At the same time, it's also very important to highlight that when women use traditional inefficient sources of energy, they invest a lot of time in the procurement and in the management of these resources. And this is time which they're not remunerated for, and which is thus taken away from potential sources of livelihood, opportunities, or education. So clarify these two issues. How can we practically make sure that energy-related interventions are gendered and promote gender equality? First of all, we have to move on from the concept of focusing on distribution of improved energy stoves only. We have to consider the issue of energy access as a whole for the entire cycle that it is made of. So gender should be included throughout the planning, implementation, but also evaluation of clean cooking policies and programs, which means practically that we should first and foremost acknowledge what gender norms are in place in the target constituencies, geographies, and demographics that we're dealing with, understand what are the power relations within households, communities in the target constituencies, and ensure that women participate not just as beneficiaries, but also as talent, as potential leaders, as users, consumers, and very often also entrepreneurs. Once this done, we shall then try to identify the specific barriers that women face along all these different cycles of the project. So as consumers and users, as potential entrepreneurs, as aspiring leaders. And then, of course, through the design and implementation of the initiative, we should try to identify activities and solutions that address and overcome those barriers, while making sure that gender disaggregated data are collected throughout the process, so that any unintended gender inequality might be promptly detected, and all of the gender dimensions of the process are can be measured and assessed. In practice, yeah, as I said, this means acknowledging that women are not only beneficiaries and users, they are also aspiring or very often already decision makers, maybe sometimes in the making, maybe they do not yet have access to the full spectrum of leadership positions and decision-making space that men are traditionally granted to. They are also traditionally struggling with issues of access to finance. And this is a key component that I'm sure we will explore further on in the course of this webinar. It's a key component explaining why women are not always in a position of accessing modern energy cooking technologies and products, even though they might be interested in doing this. And this is particularly the case for women who are aspiring entrepreneurs or are already entrepreneurs, but would like to expand and strengthen the resilience of their company. Mainstreaming gender in modern energy cooking also is about making sure that gender disaggregated data are collected and captured throughout the process to make sure that all the different nuances of how different genders are impacted by the different layers of an intervention are captured and also measured. Given the nature of energy application, it's also very important that energy is not only treated in silos as a standalone component, but given its implications, as we've already seen on themes such as health, but also livelihood empowerment, training and education, that they are addressed in a cross-sectorial manner so that synergies can be built among all the different types of interventions that address one or more of these components. All of what I've been saying is not a sort of wishful thinking, but is already been tested to some extent with already promising results and successes, including and particularly in Asia. And I would first like to finish by initial notes by giving some inspiration on existing best practices that can actually be scaled up, taken on further, replicated in India and elsewhere. So I will refer to the specific components that I've identified earlier. So with regard to women being considered as not just as beneficiaries, but as potential entrepreneurs or existing entrepreneurs, the Women's Network for Energy and Environment in Nepal has already been tested for several years, an approach whereby women are trained not only as final users of the improved cook stoves, but also they are trained on the technical skills and competences that are needed to sell, to take care of the maintenance and the after-sales services of these cook stoves. This is very important because often also a barrier that has been identified is that when women are considered only as beneficiaries, they received a stove, but then when they encounter issues with the use of the stove itself, they're very often left alone, or they have no references on whom to turn to request for support. And this is particularly the case in last mile communities or in locations that are quite remote to reach. Whereas when women are trained on the full set of services, they are able to ensure the lifelong sustainability of the stoves themselves. And in so doing, they also become de facto ambassadors of these solutions, and they start recommending these products to their peers in the communities. We know that women also have a very strong point in terms of being very effective in promoting the solutions that they adopt to other fellow women. There's an issue of an element of trust and confidence that women are uniquely positioned to provide. And this has over time demonstrated repeatedly that as a result of these practices, the adoption of the stoves increase over time, and also that they are actually maintained. Coupled with this, other examples from Southeast Asia have shown that when cook stoves, I'm particularly referring to clean cook stoves when thinking of modern energy access. So when such new cook stoves are designed by taking into consideration from the very start the inputs, the expectations, the needs of women, then the resulting product is much more aligned with the actual uses and needs of women and families. And this, again, translates into a higher adoption rate of the stoves and helps prevent it that stoves are donated for free or almost to families, but then they're not being used up because families complain, for instance, that the taste of the food is not the same as what they were used to when cooking with traditional energy sources. So again, this approach ensures that the stoves are actually used by women and that they are preserved in the long run.
Sylvia, can you draw to close, please, Vic?
Yeah, okay. I will then just very briefly touch on the final examples. In terms of access to finance, there have been successful examples of innovative solutions that provide targeted credit to women, and both as users in the household, but also as women entrepreneurs, to access funds for improved access to energy. Coupled with that, energy policies that as well are specifically designed and tailored to women. And finally, and very important to keep into mind, that it's not just about ensuring access to energy in the households, but also to power and sustain and build the resilience of women-run entrepreneurship. I'll stop it here then for now. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Sylvia, for such insights, and thank you. And I would also request the participants to type in their comments or queries in the chat function, and that could be taken at the end of the session. So moving forward, I would like to call Dr. Yasmin Khalifa. So Dr. Yasmin Khalifa is a senior research associate for the MECS program at the Center for Sustainable Transitions, Energy, Environment and Resilience, STEER, at Loughborough University, UK. Yasmin research focuses on sustainability science with a particular emphasis on transdisciplinary approaches to support sustainability transformations at intersection of technology, policy, and society, ensuring these transformations are just, inclusive, and equitable for all. She has a multidisciplinary background and holds a PhD in environment and sustainability from Keele University, UK, where her research explored the opportunities and challenges of sustainable resource management in developing countries. Yasmin also holds an MSc in environmental engineering from Ain Shams University, Egypt, and a BSc in architect from the Faculty of Fine Arts, Helwan University, Egypt. Yasmin, please.
Thank you so much for the introduction. And hello, everyone. So today, our presentation, we will talk about integrating gender equity and social inclusion in modern energy cooking interventions and how to measure these interventions, how to measure the social and gender impacts of such interventions. So first, I would like to introduce the MECS program. So it's an 8-year research-funded program by FCDO, and it's led by Sustainable Transitions, Energy, Environment, and Resilience Center within the Social Sciences and Humanities at Loughborough University. It's a knowledge research partner. We are a group of researchers. We work closely with communities, with NGOs, policymakers, and research institutions and private sector as well. We aim to break out the business as usual cycle of developments on cooking by investing in how to rapidly accelerate a transition from biomass to cleaner fuels, and specifically the high-tier fuels such as gas and electric cooking. And we aim to achieve this by integrating modern energy cooking services into planning for electricity and renewable energy, whether they are off-grid or on-grid, to address the clean cooking challenge. But access to technology on its own cannot guarantee, access to the benefits and to the shift to modern energy cooking services. There are social, cultural, and political barriers that we need to address all of these structural barriers and to ensure that women's disadvantaged and marginalized communities can have access to resources and also participate in decision making. And this requires embedding gender equity and social inclusion from the early stages of policy and strategy design and development to the design and implementation of such interventions. We also need to apply an intersectional lens to better understand how systematic inequality works, to design policies that are more inclusive and effective, and to give voice to those whose experiences are often overlooked in the mainstream narratives. We need to acknowledge that everyone has their own unique experiences and discrimination and oppression. And we must consider everything that can marginalize people, because there are different factors of discrimination that intersect with gender, such as the socioeconomic status, the gender identity, age, disability, the level of education and income, and many other factors. So at the MECS program, we wanted to develop a framework which can identify the gender dimensions in modern energy cooking services, and also to develop a practical tool that can help project developers to use measurable indicators to be able to assess and monitor progress, and also measure the impacts of such interventions. We developed a framework that includes 4 main domains and 13 subdomains. And these domains and the framework actually aligns with the energy justice principles, distributional, procedural, and recognition justices. And it includes 4 main domains. The first domain looks at assessing the multi-level enabling environment. And in this domain, we assess 4 subdomains: the social context, the policy, the economic and environmental context. This helps us to understand the local context and how to improve this enabling environment, specifically the policy context, which looks at the legal structures and laws that can recognize individual needs and the right to participate in decision making, and to ensure that the processes of decision making are fair and inclusive. The next domain is the ability to exercise agency, and this assesses the level of participation in decision making, whether at the household or the public level. And it also assesses the ability to participate in income generating activities, access to employment and leadership positions. There is a third subdomain, is the freedom of movement, and here we assess the level of restrictions because in some communities, women and marginalized groups or disadvantaged groups can be restricted by others from moving freely. So it's important also to assess this. When it comes to assessing the ability to access modern energy cooking services, we need to understand individuals' different needs and provide appropriate solutions. So assess the availability of resources, the accessibility, the affordability, and the ease of use. Then the fourth domain is the access to MECS-related resources, and here we assess the time saving, the labor, the distribution of workload, the safety and freedom from violence, whether it's domestic or gender-based violence, health and well-being impacts of such interventions, access to knowledge, information, and technology, and access to financial resources. And also we assess the social capital and how to leverage the existing networks. We developed indicators and survey questions that can help project developers to monitor progress, and this can be at the household or organization levels. And we also always ensure that data are disaggregated by these different factors of discrimination. So what the framework can do, it can help us to identify the gender inequalities and social exclusions, develop and implement an action plan to mitigate the impacts. We can monitor progress. It helps us to assess the local characteristics using an intersectional lens, so we can create inclusive solutions. It can help us also to identify new areas of impact. It can help project developers to demonstrate their contributions to SDG 5, whether as a part of their carbon credit co-benefits or as a part of a detailed analysis on gender impacts. And it can also, this data can also help policymakers, investors to make better informed investment decisions. There is a list of links here on how to use the framework and resources, and I want to highlight that we created 3 different videos that show you step by step how to use the resources and how to apply the framework. We tested the framework in Kenya. We wanted to test its practicality, whether there are any strengths, weaknesses, and if there is any gaps, and how to refine the framework. This pilot was funded by the MECS program and conducted by a local company in Kenya called SCODE, and they're currently selling EPCs to grid-connected households. The company followed the steps that are included in our guidance resources. They identified the domains and subdomains, the indicators, and we worked closely with the company to adapt and contextualize and test the survey questions before conducting the baseline survey. And for this study, we excluded the developing an action plan because we mainly wanted to test the baseline and evaluation survey and how, whether they are practical or not and how to improve them. But in general, after the baseline survey and after identifying the inequalities, project developers have to develop an action plan to address these inequalities and then conduct an evaluation survey after 3-4 months after the transition, and analyze and compare the data from both the baseline and evaluation survey to assess and measure the impacts. They used phone calls and online surveys, and data was disaggregated by different factors. Some of the key findings of the pilot that the company was able to measure a lot of impacts in terms of fuel transition and fuel stacking. For example, the electricity as a secondary fuel increased sharply, and we also looked at how low-income female-headed household they made the largest shift to electricity as a primary fuel. We assessed the reliability and how transition enabled a reduction in meal changes and disruptions. We looked at how people with disability were able to use their new EPCs. We also assessed how the transition contributed to reductions in fuel spending, and we're also looking at disaggregating this data by income level. However, the largest reductions in fuel spending were reported among the high-income female and male headed households. So the company needs to address these inequalities and reduce them. The transition also helps household sacrificing other basic needs to buy cooking fuels decreased significantly. We've seen a reduced fuel collection burden and the workload and time saving. However, we found that the time saving differed by gender. Women mainly use the time saved for housework and childcare. 39% of women reported that they used the time saved on leisure and rest and income. But when you look at men, they spent most of the time saved on other activities rather than housework and child care. When we try to disaggregate the data by income, it revealed more inequalities, as we found that low and middle income women used most time for unpaid care, unlike high income women and men. And this also highlights the importance of disaggregating data and how it can identify hidden inequalities. We noticed some gradual shifts in gender roles as well. A reduced gender-based violence and a reduction in the domestic and violence, domestic violence and tensions. Also, most female and male respondents reported improved indoor air equality, and we know that this can be measured more accurately, but it's also good to see how people perceive the benefits. We noticed that 18% of low-income female households reported starting or expanding, a new business using the new EPCs. In terms of decision-making and agency, both women and men reported high involvement in decision-making related to cooking fuels. However, women still slightly have some limitations more than men. So the pilot gave us the opportunity for the company to identify a broader set of impacts, and the company described the framework as a great eye-opener that reveals all the gender and social issues, and it felt that the framework is practical and can be applied. However, maybe they needed some support on analyzing the data. Co-designing the surveys with the local context helped improving and refining the framework and being more, because there were some sensitive questions that are not locally accepted or culturally accepted, so we had to make these changes. Also, applying the framework highlighted the importance of collecting disaggregated data beyond gender. And the next few slides also show how the MECS gender framework, how the MECS program, are integrating gender equity and social inclusion in modern energy cooking services. So we developed the gender framework. We started to test it. We tested it in Kenya, as I mentioned, and also we tested the framework in Tanzania to assess the awareness campaign and supply chain. And we also supported the development of the e-cooking strategy, the cooking transition strategy and e-cooking strategy in Kenya, and how we ensure that women voices are included in this strategy. We support women-led businesses. We work across different contexts to ensure that we reach the poorest communities. We work in schools as well and other institutions to make sure that that our projects can reach everyone, because as you might know that most of the school cooks are female. So we conducted a lot of and supported a lot of work in schools, transition to e-cooking. We ensure that all our skills development programs include all different groups. We support and empower women groups in Malawi. We launched with the Finovista, the Women in Modern Energy Cooking network. And then we also developed these e-cookbooks that are tailored specifically for different countries, and they are also translated into different languages, local languages, so it can be accessible for all. We have a lot of cooking practices and behavior studies, and we worked on different reports and projects to improve people with disability, to improve their access to modern energy cooking and participation in the transition as well. And we did a lot of few studies and testing also the heat stress related to the cooking fuels. So yeah, so please, if you have any questions, then please share it with us. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yasmin. Thank you for the insights. And moving forward to the next session, which is the panel discussion for women in modern energy cooking. So for that, I would like to call upon Dr. Nick Rosu. So Nick has an over 20 years of experience of working in UK government. His final role was Head of International Innovation Strategy at the Department of Business, Innovation and Skills. Nick led the innovation strand of the Newton program and government-to-government policy dialogue. Nick's consultancy, Unconventional Connections, focuses on innovation collaboration, included work funded by DFID on harnessing the UK's strength in clean energy technologies to increase in Africa and Southeast Asia. Nick has a personal interest in sustainable solution to local and global food-related challenges. In 2015, he set up the Woven Network, which is a UK-based network for those working on insect protein. Nick holds a BA, MSc, and PhD degree in the psychology from Universities of Cambridge, Loughborough, and Sheffield, with a focus on psychology and user-centric system design. Within the MECS project, Nick is one of the international licensing managers for India. Nick, please.
Thank you, Nay. Thank you for that introduction. Great to meet you all online. The session has already kicked off with some very impressive women talking about very important work to do with addressing these inequalities and challenges that many face relating to views about gender in the world. And these apply in India as well as many other countries and in the UK also. So having given us some frameworks to think about this and think about the challenges relating to gender inequalities and the sharing the tool that Yasmin has developed to actually bring those inequalities into the spotlight in pilot evaluations and the like. We're now going to have 3 speakers who will be talking about their own experience in seeking to address these inequalities through practical activities and their own work personally. I'm very I have to say, these 3 women are incredibly impressive. I'm very honored to be introducing them. And I will do that very quickly. But before I do that, I just want to emphasize we have the chat function, as I'm sure many of you will be aware. I'm sure many people's AI bots already logged into that to indicate that they are taking records. But we have also the ability to ask questions and to introduce yourselves. And I would encourage you all to, if you haven't already done so, to put in something about yourself, give your contact details, and ask any questions that you have or anything that you'd like to raise with the panelists or the speakers. I'm pleased to see already that someone has asked if the study that was carried out in Kenya can be replicated in Zimbabwe. So that's, I'm sure, something that Yasmin can discuss with Judith Marrera. Yeah, so I'm going to, having given that comment, I'm now going to hand over to Ms. Deeptha Kumar, who is the head of programs at FSR Global, where she leads the organization's programmatic work on energy transitions in the Global South. With a master's in renewable energy from the University of Freiburg and early career experience at Fraunhofer ISE and Selco Foundation, Deeptha brings deep experience in sustainable energy, digital innovation, and last mile service delivery. But prior to FSR Global, she spent over 9 years at Hakdashak, I hope I pronounced that right, where she joined as the 3rd employee and rose to president, scaling a 500-member team that connected millions of underserved citizens to government welfare schemes. So, Ms. Kumar, I look forward to hearing your thoughts.
Thank you, Nick. I'm sorry, my camera doesn't seem to be working today. I've tried a couple of options, so I'm very uh, sorry about that. But thank
Okay.
you to the Finovista team, the MECS team, and the entire WMEC team for creating this important platform. It's indeed a privilege to be part of this conversation that recognizes something that's very fundamental. Modern energy cooking is not just about the technological transition, but also about social and structural transition. So at FSR Global, through the Energy Dozen initiative, we see this moment as a very pivotal one. If women are central to cooking transitions, they must be also central to energy transitions, not just as users, but as decision makers, as designers, as financiers, regulators, and entrepreneurs. Today, women largely remain the primary adopters and managers of household cooking systems. They are community mobilizers, last mile ambassadors, early adopters of various clean cooking technologies. Yet they are still grossly underrepresented. They're underrepresented in product design labs, in policy committees, in financing institutions, utility boards, and energy technology startups. That is a gap that we must address, the gap between participation and power. The risk is that electric or clean cooking transition becomes technology-led rather than gender-led. If we do not intentionally embed women into leadership roles across the value chain, we also risk replicating the very inequities leading to storm. This is precisely where energy doesn't situate itself. Energy doesn't currently in its second version is structured into two tracks: energy transition and clean cooking. It operates on four pillars: inspire, engage, advise, and mentor. We spotlight women leaders through articles, podcasts, and video interviews, not just to celebrate, but also to position them as authoritative voices shaping policy and markets. We host structured webinars and roundtables where these leaders engage directly with decision makers and practitioners. We also convene bi-monthly advisory discussions that co-creates policy insights. And most importantly, we run mentoring master classes to build the next generation of women professionals in energy. This edition, the mentorship phase actually starts tomorrow, where 24 women will be mentoring 250 young women. Our aim is very simple, but it's very ambitious. It is to shift the narrative from women as beneficiaries to women as ecosystem leaders. Visibility actually changes perception, and perception changes opportunity. When women speak on hydrogen for cooking or innovative e-cooking finance models, grid modernization, or regulatory reform, they're no longer seen as peripheral participants, they're seen as experts. But just leadership visibility alone is not enough. We also must look at the structural barriers that are currently there. Women-led enterprises and modern energy thinking need blended finance mechanism, access to affordable credit, risk-sharing instruments, and inclusion in procurement frameworks. They need regulatory predictability and institutional backing as well. They need market access support. And they also need skills pipeline that prepare women not only as consumers of these clean cooking technologies, but also as technicians and service providers and technology developers. This is where government plays a very crucial role. We need a gender responsive policy design where gender disaggregated metrics are embedded into clean cooking programs. We need procurement reforms that enable women-led enterprises to compete and scale. We need the integration of clean cooking roles into national skilling missions, creating formal pathways for women in technical and operational roles. And we must also move beyond gender neutral approaches because gender neutral says access for all, gender transformative says shift the power. Gender transformative clean cooking means women sitting on standard setting committees, influencing tariff and financial design, women leading R&D conversations, women shaping digital energy platforms. It means recognizing that energy transition and gender justice are inseparable. As we look ahead to the next phase of WMEC, I would propose 5 priorities. First, build a structured leadership pipeline, perhaps even introduce a fellowship for women in modern energy cooking. Second, create a gender data architecture that tracks participation across the entire value chain. Establish a dedicated capital window or a catalytic fund for women-led cooking ventures. Create co-design labs where women are involved in product innovation from the outset, and develop regional leadership chapters so that movement grows beyond national dialogue into state level action. Modern energy cooking is not just about replacing fuels, it's also about redistributing power, both all economic, institutional, and social. If women power the kitchen, they must also power the energy transition. The clean cooking transition gives us a very rare opportunity to correct historic gender imbalances while advancing climate goals and health outcomes. We must do everything so that we do not miss this. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Kumar. I think your call to action is very well focused. They sound like the right actions, and I think, as you say, in a country the size of India, it needs to be on just the national level. We need to be operating at state and at more local levels. And I think, again, picking up on the point about it's not about kind of somehow things being gender neutral. It has to be making it more visible how gender differences are playing out in people's lives and in society and in the ecosystem, so that we can be more sensitive in the interventions. And I think that, again, the gender framework that Yasmin has developed and the example of the SCODE pilot shows how valuable that can be, that it can help. But one of the things I love about doing this is that it does, by simply having a discussion about cooking fuel in a home and leading to a reconsideration of that in itself is giving women a voice and giving women power. And the outcome of that can be that men may spend more time in the kitchen, and women therefore are freer to do other things. Okay, so you talked about supporting women entrepreneurs. So our next speaker is a leading Indian female entrepreneur, Dr. Rashi Gupta. She is a trailblazing visionary, revolutionizing the clean energy landscape through transformative innovation in green hydrogen and renewable energies. As founder and manager director of Vision Mechatronics Private Limited, she shattered barriers by developing India's world's smartest lithium battery, earning her the title Battery Wali of India. I learned a bit more about Hindi yesterday. A Walla is a male and Wali is a female. Her pioneering work spans advanced energy storage, robotics, and clean hydrogen, fueling India's sustainable energy future. And Dr. Gupta has developed a groundbreaking clean cooking initiative harnessing green hydrogen, delivering safe, affordable, and scalable hydrogen-based cook stoves. And her work aims to empower millions, making clean cooking a tangible reality while slashing carbon footprints and advancing climate justice. Her dedication to inclusive innovation and women's empowerment inspires a new generation of global clean energy champions. So, Dr. Gupta, I'm very keen to hear your story, to hear about your company, and hear how you are empowering and enabling women to play a more active role in this area.
Thank you so much for hosting me. Am I audible?
Absolutely, you're very clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So when I was, when you introduced me as Battery Valley of India, and that is so true that I am fondly known as Battery Valley of India. And I have been into this industry for more than 15 years now. And I have been, voicing my opinions as well as talking about women empowerment, as well as, making sure that women get their space and seat in the STEM industry, in renewables, in battery energy storage, and not just at the ground, entry level scenario, but also at the top management level and at every stage. So when I was forming this company of mine, I realized that women need to have a different and a happy space to work in. And if you cannot provide that, It's a problem space for their development and enrichment. So at that moment, I wanted to create a very happy space for everyone that comes to work with us. Because most of the times, if we look at it, and you spend your peak life working. Say, from example, say some people start working early, or some start working around 25 years or 22 years of age, and we go up to 60, 70 years, which is your peak lifetime and peak hours of your day, which are from say like morning 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock to evening 6 o'clock. So that's your peak day gone for work. So if you're not happy, it doesn't make sense. So creating infrastructure for men and women to work in a happy space is the core of my work here. Second thing, most of the innovations that I have done till date have come from the kitchen, and I simply adore kitchen as a lab for my own self. So I realized that if I can innovate something, if I get my ideas there, I mean, that's a very strange analogy that many of you might feel about, that how kitchen as a space where food is there, and from there you're getting technical ideas. And yes, that's true. And that's where I get my lot of technical ideas from, and I ensure that I am creating and innovating continuously, even in the STEM field and technical fields. And that is how I've had batteries in India. I've done battery hydrogen hybrids. I have done battery hybrids, different technologies in one single system, creating robustness. And that's how I got my nickname as Battery Valley of India. And then I also thought that if I could do something in clean energy space in terms of renewables, in terms of batteries, why can I not advance into clean cooking space? And that's when I had a lot of innovations in the idea of having a hydrogen-based cook stove, because hydrogen is a very clean fuel, and that is the fuel of today and not tomorrow. Most of us think that hydrogen is the fuel of tomorrow. I would say hydrogen is not the fuel of tomorrow, it's the fuel of today. Why would I say that? Because you would have a 15 to 20% a cooler kitchen as compared to a traditional LPG kitchen. You would have, and it's like an anti-blackout mode, because what happens is you have an on-site on generation gas available. You generate your own gas. You're not dependent on anybody. So it is very, we designed something very unique in terms of the burner design, in terms of electrolyzer, and we have come to a space where we have an on-demand, on-site generation of hydrogen without storing into large cylinders. And then we can have a very good infrastructure available localized, so that with this decentralized infrastructure of energy and gas generation, you can actually have independence in terms of cooking, independence in terms of generation, and this would give you a very, clean experience, because the only residue that you have out there is water vapor. The byproduct of this the project is actually happening with oxygen. So medical grade oxygen is available. So you are actually eating clean and breathing clean. So very quickly, let me show you short two videos, which will actually let you know that yes, the project is not just in the talks, but it actually makes sense and it is functional. So one video is out there now. Confirm. Is the screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
It is.
Okay, so let me just quickly play.
Experience the future of cooking, from quick frying to long duration cooking, cleaner, more efficient, and no emissions. Witness the magic as we fry dry fruit in ghee for an extra special treat. We are cooking a South Indian delicacy called payasam. This payasam is made from lentils, coconut milk, jaggery, and sago for 150 people using the revolutionary high cooker.
I'll just fast forward it a bit here. So you can see actually it is done. And we had the spicem ready there for 150 people. And what happened is that we actually reduced because by almost 50%, which was commendable. I mean, if I look at it, 50% is huge.
A heartfelt thanks
Sorry.
to the Brahma Kumaris for giving us this platform.
Yeah. So we had reduced the cooking time by 50% when we used this. So what another additional benefit was that they actually had a lot of clean air to breathe. One more question is now most of these people, most of the cooking that is done on the flame through gas has a lot of carbon dioxide coming out of it. And many people in India, I mean, I can see a lot of audience from across the whole thing. Yes, you have a question, Nick?
Sorry, I just conscious of time. I'd be grateful if we
No,
could.
I wanted to just show one small quick thing in comparison with LPG, and then I'm done. Okay. So when we talk of this, India, we love rotis or what you called as your pancakes, but it's something that is very native to all of us. And with this new right now, the new trend is that it is very harmful to have it on the gas to be puffed. So I just want to show you how clean this is to puff it. And this is a less than 30 seconds video here. Oh, wait, let me just share my screen. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, there we go. Here, share. Can you see the screen?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Another advantage of this is that the flame is visible. Many people have the challenge saying that hydrogen flame would not be visible. So it's completely safe and visible here. I'll show you how the roti puffs actually. So live on the flame, you can see the roti being puffed. So it's absolutely safe to eat it. And it works exactly similar to your LPG kitchens so that you feel that you are still in the same, sorry, stop sharing. Yeah. So you feel that you are in the same era of cooking and you do not feel. So mimicking the comfort of the user is also equally important when you're designing a product, when you're actually creating something unique and with a new technology. So my agenda is very simple. For the world, eat clean, breathe clean. And we are the ones who are going to create the new world for not just ourselves, but a cleaner world for our future generations to come. Over to you, Nick. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta. Great, yeah, very inspiring and very keen. I was pleased to see your work at the MECS Forum last year. Okay, our final panelist is Ms. Neetu Devi. She is a rural energy entrepreneur and community leader from Sarpur village in Gaya district of Bihar. Rising from modest beginnings as a daily wage labourer and farmer, she's emerged as a technical leader and director of Jivika Women's Renewable Energy Solutions, or JWAS, which is a women-led rural energy enterprise. Her journey of transformation began in 2016 when she joined the RAM Self-Help Group under Jivika Bihar's Rural Livelihood Mission. Through financial literacy, savings and capacity building initiatives, she strengthened her confidence and leadership skills. And then in 2017, she was selected for the Solar Urja through Localization Initiative, which was a collaboration between IIT Bombay and Jivika, and she went technical training in assembling and repairing solar study lamps, which enabled her to improve her technical expertise and financial independence. Ms. Neetu played a key role in the formation of JWIRES in January 2020. Has manufactured and repaired a wide variety of different technologies, and she's appointed to the board of directors. And she continues to contribute to enterprise development, to mentor and train new members, and champion women's economic empowerment through renewable energy livelihoods. Now, Ms. Devi speaks in Hindi, and so she will be delivering her remarks in Hindi, but Nay has kindly agreed to provide some translation. So for those of us not familiar with the language, So I hope that'll work for everyone. And I'm conscious of time, but do continue to put any questions you've got or any comments or suggestions, and I'm sure we'll have a look at those as we hear Ms. Devi's talk. Over to you, Ms. Devi. Thank you.
नीतू जी, एक मिनट, अगर आप हिंदी में बोलेंगी, पहले तो नमस्ते और आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। बस ये है कि आप हिंदी में बोलेंगे तो रुक रुक के बोलिए, ताकि जो हमारे इंटरनेशनल ऑडियंस है उनको मैं इंग्लिश में ट्रांसफर कर दूंगी. So it is for all the international guests, since in MECS and in WMEC, we believe that no voice should be unheard. So Neetu ji has a vast experience in working with grassroots level people. And since Hindi is our native language, she will be speaking in Hindi and I will be converting it. हाँ जी नीतू जी.
सभी को मेरा सादर प्रणाम. आज की इस कार्यशाला में उपस्थित सभी सम्मानित अतिथियों, प्रतिभागियों और साथियों को मैं हृदय से स्वागत करती हूँ. मुझे इस महत्वपूर्ण मंच पर वक्ता के रूप में अपने विचार को साझा करने का अवसर प्रदान करने के लिए मैं फिनोविस्टा को हार्दिक धन्यवाद देती हूँ.
So she is basically thanking for the
मेरा नाम
platform she
नीतू
has.
देवी है. मैं जे वायर कंपनी में
हाँ जी बोलिए. Neetu ji J Wires. Neetu ji is from J Wires. So Miss Neetu is working from J Wires and she's working with the grassroots level people. हाँ जी. बोलिए नीतू जी.
मैं जे वायर कंपनी में डायरेक्टर के पद पर कार्यरत हूँ. आज मुझे इस मंच से जे वायर द्वारा इलेक्ट्रिक कुकिंग के क्षेत्र में किए गए कार्यों का साझा करने का सौभाग्य प्राप्त है.
So
जे वायर एक महिलाओं का स्वामित्व वाली कंपनी है जिसे
हाँ जी बोलिए. So she is
जिसे
basically
बिहार के ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों के स्वच्छ और आधुनिक ऊर्जा
बोलिए नीतू जी, बोलिए. मैं कन्वर्ट कर दूंगी जब आपका हो जाएगा.
जे
फिर
वायर
आप
एक
समझ
महिलाओं के लिए स्वामित्व वाली कंपनी है जिसमें ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में स्वच्छ और आधुनिक ऊर्जा समाधान को बढ़ावा देने के लिए हम निरंतर प्रयास किए हैं. हमारा उद्देश्य केवल तकनीकी उत्पाद उपलब्ध कराना नहीं है, बल्कि ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में महिलाओं के जीवन में अस्थायी और सकारात्मक परिवर्तन लाना है.
So basically, Neetu ji is the director of J Wires. J Wires is basically an organization which is working with the rural people, grassroots level people in Gaya, Bihar. And the main objective of J Wire is to work with the women, empowering women, and also giving them a chance of livelihood for better opportunities in life. जी नीतू जी.
ग्रामीण क्षेत्र में लंबे समय से प्राकृतिक ईंधनों पर खाना बनाने के लिए, पकाने के लिए लोग उपयोग करते हैं, जैसे लकड़ी, उपले, कोयले. यह व्यवस्था वर्षों से चली आ रही थी, परंतु इसके गंभीर दुष्प्रभाव भी हैं. रसोई में उत्पन्न धुआं महिलाओं के बच्चों के स्वास्थ्य के लिए अत्यंत हानिकारक भी है. स्वास्थ्य संबंधी बीमारियां, आंखों में जलन, सिर दर्द, हमेशा खांसी, ये आम बात हो गई है.
So basically, as we all know that in India, especially in the rural India, it is a trend to generally do the cooking on traditional cooking fuels, which generally comprise of biomass, cow dungs. Then we have this dust, firewoods. So these are the basic primary fuels with which generally the people of rural India cooks. And as a result, we have the people living there using the traditional cooking fuel have faced many health issues like coughing, burning of eyes, and then they have certain other medical issues which are related to due to cooking with unclean fuels. हाँ जी.
इसके अतिरिक्त ईंधन एकत्र करने में भी अधिक समय व्यतीत होता था. 1 से 2 घंटे समय लग जाते हैं. अगर हम इसी समय को बचाएं तो महिलाएं अपने बच्चों के लिए शिक्षा पर भी ध्यान दे सकती हैं, स्वयं सहायता समूह में वो बैठक भी कर सकती हैं, और इसके अतिरिक्त अन्य गतिविधियों पर भी वो समय दे सकती हैं, लगा सकती हैं.
So she wanted. हाँ जी. So as we all know that basically for fuel collections, a traditional normal house, generally the household women generally spend 1 to 2 hours for fuel collection. And if that fuel collecting time can be spent to a more productive work, it will be very beneficial for women, and not for the women, but also for the children, for the upbringing, or for the better upbringing for their children. Hanji.
इन्हीं चुनौतियों को ध्यान में रखते हुए जे वायर ने इलेक्ट्रिक कुकिंग, विशेष रूप से इंडक्शन आधारित तकनीक को बढ़ावा दिया। यह पहल केवल उपकरण वितरण करना तक सीमित नहीं है, बल्कि यह महिला के सशक्तिकरण और सामाजिक परिवर्तन की दिशा में एक ठोस कदम भी है।
So, seeking all these consequences, J-Wires have basically worked towards promoting e-cooking in rural India, and the promotion of e-cooking and introduction of e-cooking in rural villages is also a sign of uplifting and empowering women in rural India. Hanji.
हमने गांव-गांव जाकर डेमो कुकिंग सत्र आयोजित किए, जहां महिलाओं के इंडक्शन कुकटॉप पे भोजन बनाकर दिखाया गया। पर हम ये नई तकनीक को लेकर उनमें संकोच था, क्योंकि जब भी हम कुछ नया करते हैं तो लोगों में एक अजीब तरह का विश्वास नहीं होता है कि पता नहीं क्या हमारे पास आ रहा है। परंतु जब महिलाओं ने स्वयं अनुभव किया कि बिना धुएं के कम समय और सुरक्षित तरीके से अगर हम भोजन तैयार किया जा सकता है, तो उसमें उनका विश्वास बढ़ा। जब वो खुद से डेमो करके इंडक्शन पे खाना बनाने लगी, तो थोड़ा उन पे विश्वास उनके अंदर बढ़ा।
So, to basically make the people more aware of this new technology in the villages, they have constantly promoted demo and training of e-cooking devices, especially induction devices, because while introducing some new technologies into an unaware or unknown zone, people are very much conscious of the choice that what will be the cooking on electric cook stove look like. So people who are cooking traditionally with fuel, with unclean fuels, have these sort of questions which are there. So the Jivika people or J-Wire organization basically help solving those problems, resolving the queries of the people which are there related to e-cooking, and that is how they are able to promote e-cooking in this class of, in this strata of people. Hanji.
आज हम ये बताते हुए गर्व महसूस हो रहा है कि अब तक 3000 से अधिक इंडक्शन कुकटॉप ग्रामीण परिवारों तक पहुंचा जा चुके हैं। यह केवल संख्या नहीं है, बल्कि 3000 परिवारों के जीवन में आए सकारात्मक परिवर्तन की कहानी है।
So Jivika Vyas is very proud to say that they are very much successful in basically disseminating 3000 induction cooktops to different families in the villages. And as a result, they are not only improving the socio-economic conditions of the women, but they have also resolved the health problems and have given a new dimension to clean cooking techniques in rural segment of India. Hanji.
इस पहल से प्रमुख प्रभाव भी हुए हैं, जैसे स्वास्थ्य संबंधी सुधार भी हुए। धुएं से मुक्ति मिलने के बाद महिलाओं और बच्चों में स्वास्थ्य में सुधार देखा गया। रसोई का वातावरण स्वच्छ और सुरक्षित हुआ। इसके अतिरिक्त समय की भी बचत हुई उनमें। प्रतिदिन 1 से 2 घंटे की बचत महिलाएं प्राप्त कर रही है। यह समय वो अपने शिक्षा में भी लगा रही बच्चों की, अपने स्वयं सहायता समूह में बैठक में भी वो जा रही हैं, और छोटे-छोटे और भी व्यवसायों में अपना समय व्यतीत कर रही वो।
So introducing e-cooking in these houses in 3000 families, have the Jivika people have observed that not only they have basically improved health conditions, they have also better kitchen conditions. They have good ventilated kitchens, improved kitchens with less smoke and fog in that. And also, apart from this, the time saved from fuel collection, which is 1 to 2 hours of time which is being saved from fuel collection, is being spent productively by the women on their children's study, they are also employing themselves into some more economical activities which are there going on in the villages. हाँ जी.
इंडक्शन में खाना बनाने पे उनकी आर्थिक स्थिति भी सुधार हुई, इससे उनको लाभ भी मिला। लकड़ी और कोयला पर होने वाला खर्च भी उनका कम हो गया। कुछ महिलाओं ने इंडक्शन कुकटॉप के माध्यम से चाय नाश्ता का दुकान खोल ली। पहले वो गैस पे बनाती थी, उससे उनका खर्च ज्यादा होता था। वो इंडक्शन पे बनाती हैं, टिफिन सेवा देती हैं और छोटे-छोटे खाद्य व्यवसाय शुरू किए हैं। इससे उनकी आय में वृद्धि भी हुई है।
So Jivika Vyas says that due to the introduction of e-cooking, they have seen many women who are there are basically entered into micro businesses, and there they have entered into opening eateries, which generally comprises of small breakfasts like tea and some kind of breakfast. They have also initiated some micro businesses which are of tiffin services to people. So likewise, they have improved their economical status and also they have observed that cooking on electricity is much more cost effective. They have also saved the extra money which is being spent on collecting fuel and also on LPG. So they have also observed that there is a reduction of cost while cooking with electricity. हाँ जी.
नई तकनीक का उपयोग महिलाओं में आत्मविश्वास बढ़ाता है। वे परिवार के निर्माण में अधिक सक्रिय भूमिका निभा रही है। समाज में नारी सशक्तिकरण का वो बढ़ावा दे रही हैं और लकड़ी की खपत की भी कमी वनों में का दबाव घट गया है, क्योंकि अब वो लकड़ी ईंटा उपला पे खाना बनाती नहीं है। इससे उसका भी प्रभाव कमा और कार्बन उत्सर्जन में भी कमी आई है।
So Neetuji is depicted about the health benefits which are also associated, the environmental benefits which are associated with e-cooking. So she stated that due to the transition to e-cooking, it is observed that there is less of carbon emission, there is less of deforestation due to cooking, and also the environment has directly been impacted in a good way while transitioning towards cleaner fuels. Ji. अब आप
कुकिंग
थोड़ा
से
सा
यह
उसमें सबमिट कर दीजिए लास्ट की, क्योंकि नीतू जी टाइम हो रहा है, तो आप एक बार में बोल दीजिए, मैं जो है वो फिर एक बार में बता दूंगी।
ओके, यह स्पष्ट है कि मतलब इलेक्ट्रिक कुकिंग केवल एक रसोई का उपकरण नहीं है, बल्कि यह स्वास्थ्य, समय, आर्थिक अवसर और सामाजिक सम्मान से जुड़ा एक व्यापक परिवर्तन मॉडल है। भविष्य में हमारा लक्ष्य इस पहल को 10 लाख से अधिक परिवारों तक विस्तारित करना है। हम सोलर आधारित एक मॉडल पर भी कार्य कर रहे हैं, ताकि बिजली की अनियमितता को समस्या का समाधान किया जा सके और अधिक से अधिक ग्रामीण परिवार स्वच्छ ऊर्जा से जुड़ सके। अंत में मैं यही कहना चाहूंगी कि जब रसोई से धुआं हटता है तो केवल वातावरण ही स्वच्छ नहीं होता, बल्कि महिलाओं के जीवन, उनका आत्मविश्वास और उनके परिवार की प्रगति की दिशा में बदल जाती है। अब मैं इतना ही कहूंगी और आप सभी को बहुत-बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you, Neetu ji. And just translating her final words is that Jivika claims to extend this number to up to 10 lakh families. Now the current number is around 3,000, and their aim is to reach to impact 10 lakh families, and also to work on the solar modules where there is instability of electricity. So they are also working on solar modules so that they can, when there is some scarcity or there is some disruption of electricity distribution, so that solar can work upon that. So yeah, these are her supportive words towards transitioning to cleaner fuels in rural part of India. Thank you, Neetu.
Thank you. Absimika Kushi here. And very good. Great to hear the diversity of views from different people, and to it's always encouraging when you hear about the impact that changes can make to people's lives in these challenging times. It's good to have something positive that we can focus on, and I think International Women's Day is a very good opportunity to celebrate much of what is good in the world. Okay, time is running out, I'm afraid. Thank you all for your contributions. We've got someone put their hands up. I think they may have taken the hand down now, maybe with a question. There's been a number of questions or requests in the chat for the slides to be circulated. So can I ask Finovista to do that to everyone? I think that they were very helpful. Yes, so H. Wadhwa, you've raised your hand. Would you like to ask a question? And people can leave now. I think we've gone beyond the time, but if you're able to stay a little bit longer, then you're welcome to. Okay. I'm not sure who H. Wadhwa is, but could you unmute yourself and ask a question? Do we need to unmute you? I'm not sure. May, can you help here?
So he has his enabled mic. Mr. Wadhwa, can you just unmute yourself? Or if you are not able to unmute yourself, can you write your questions in the chat function, please? And also, I would request Mr. Ahmed also to write his queries in the chat function so that we can address and get back.
That'd be helpful, yes, because we do need to finish very soon.
Mr. Ahmed is able to unmute himself. Mr. Ahmed, if you can unmute yourself and ask question since you have raised your hand.
Hello, everyone. My name is. Yeah.
Sorry, my apologies. Yes, Ahmed.
Yeah, you are hearing me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello.
Very clear.
Yeah. Yes. My name is Mawahib Ahmed. I'm a researcher in the National Center for Research Sudan. I attended many sessions, but I want to know if this session can be extended to solar cooker experience. I have experience in Sudan. And in Sudan, you know that we have challenges in cooking fuel. We all the time looking for alternatives. And after the war, we missed one of the forestries.
Well, thank you for your question, and we would love to help in Sudan. I've been talking to Finovista about how we can make these talk series more international. I think that would be something that everyone could benefit from. So Finovista, maybe we can agree to go back to Ms. Matwa, I'm not going to get that right, and explore further how we can involve them in this going forward. Thank you. Okay, let's take one more question and then we'll finish. So from Mahib Ahmed.
Mahida Ahmed is she just spoke now. So we don't have any questions. I don't see any hand raises.
Oh, is that right? Okay, so that was because there's a question has been put in the chat now. It is the most energy efficient product. We tested 12 popular brands a decade back. Cooking chapatis in a curved pan was a challenge. So they welded an iron ring to make it stable. Okay, so sharing a good experience of being able to solve the challenge in cooking chapatis. Chapatis and other bread-based products are often the hardest for various reasons, I think, for electric cooking, but there certainly are some solutions. Okay, I think I'm going to close it there. Thank you again. And just to maybe emphasize further what Yasmin said, the gender framework is something which we're using more and more within our projects, and the Acuasa program that we're currently seeking partners for in India and Africa includes using the gender framework to help us to understand and to grow the adoption of electric cooking and modern energy cookings in these places and improve air quality. If you have projects that you think would benefit from the gender framework being used as a tool to help you to understand how the impacts are affecting people across the genders, then do get in touch. But thank you all very much. It's been a very good and encouraging session today, and I wish you well for the rest of the day and the week.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.